So the Republicans have found themselves in a pretty difficult situation with this abortion thing. They realize that the position that they've been advocating for 50 years is incredibly unpopular with the American people, and it's causing them to lose elections left and right. And even when they tried to resort to the false reality of, oh, we're not actually against abortion, we just want to return to the states. Well, that's come back to bite them in the ass too, because some states can implement draconian abortion measures. Like that's the bed that you made. And that's exactly what Arizona did when they reverted back to an abortion law from 1864, from before the Civil War was over. In fact, this isn't even an Arizona state law. This is an Arizona territory law. This barbaric legislation predates the actual state of Arizona. And Republicans have been trying to blame people left and right for this because they can't blame themselves. They never learned their lesson. And one funny part that I've seen is asking the Democrats for help. Like the Democrats should come in and save us. And that's exactly what Sean Hannity suggested the other day. I'll go ahead and play the clip for you.
Arizona's governor is a Democrat. The state's attorney general is a Democrat. The state legislature is almost evenly divided. If Democrats, you want to get rid of the law, well, you have a chance right now to get rid of it. And I would advise you, get rid of it. They would rather use it as a political tool ahead of November. Most politicians on the left do not actually care about making your life better. The people on the left are.
All right. So what Sean Hannity is saying is that, listen, yeah, we have that draconian abortion measure in Arizona, and maybe we do look bad, but hey, why don't the Democrats do something about this? Why don't they clean up our mess? Like that's Hannity's whole prescription here, that they made this giant mess with like outlawing all abortion, realized was incredibly unpopular, and they want the Democrats to throw them a lifeline. So Hannity's suggestion is that so sure, the Arizona Supreme Court is entirely Republican, but the Arizona governor, the Arizona attorney general are both Democrats. By the way, like, why is that? He says that as if it's a good thing. Wouldn't he want them to be Republicans? That's kind of interesting. And the Arizona House, at least, is split. I believe it's split like 31-29, 31 Republicans, 29 Democrats. So he's saying, listen, it's a pretty evenly divided House. The Democrats should come in and save the day and overturn this ridiculous ruling. And what's interesting about that is that they did try. They tried immediately after this ruling came down last week, and they tried it again earlier today. And you'll never guess what happened. Yeah, Arizona House once again blocks the 1864 abortion ban. The Senate leaves the door open. So the Arizona Senate took a concrete step towards repealing the state's pre-Roe abortion ban on Wednesday, but the House Republicans continued to block similar efforts, leaving the fate of the 1864 law in question. You heard what I was saying and everything. What are your thoughts here on the Republicans and the abortion thing? Because I got to say, yeah, the fact that Roe v. Wade was overturned has been catastrophic to the nation. It's awful. It showed the indelible stamp of the Republicans' barbaric nature, that we all knew already. And it has done a lot to galvanize support for Democrats from people who otherwise wouldn't have. But what are your thoughts on it overall? Like, what do you think is going on here?
I think the biggest thing with the recent developments is it's really starting to highlight the division between like true ideologues and the people looking for political clout. Because just from the article that I was reading about it, there's the one Republican in the House, which is basically divided right down the middle, that is basically saying, hey guys, this is basically political suicide. And all the other Republicans are like, no, we need to enshrine this. This is our principle. We need to save baby lives.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been the biggest thing for me, is like just watching this big schism in the Republican Party. Like even Hannity going back and being like, guys, we're going way too fucking far with this one.
Yeah, it's a real separate the sheep from the goats type of moment here.
Exactly.
Like, it's really showing who actually believes this and who is doing it for political clout. Mm-hmm. And it turns out, like, no big surprise that a lot of the people in Republican media don't actually believe it. Like, they want Republicans to get elected, like guys like Sean Hannity and everything. And it's funny to see, like, I saw some other folks talking on, right-wing media. Who did I see? I saw Charlie Kirk, who was saying, who was going the political route, saying, listen, we got to come to terms with the fact that America is not ready for we need to get them more properly educated on this, which was so absurd, because you guys have had 5 fucking decades to do this. You guys have had 50 years to go over exactly why you think abortion should be illegal. Like from the moment of conception. Like, how often do they tell us that life begins at conception? They say it all the time. And fewer people believe it. So a few more years are not going to change anyone's mind. And then there's people like, I think Matt Walsh, I think I saw, who said that, listen, this is the right decision. Like, I understand it's not politically popular, but so it's like, all right, Matt Walsh really believes this. Like, he understands that his position is unpopular. I think he understands, although it's easier for Matt Walsh because he's made an entire platform on like I'm going to say unpopular shit and revel in it. And Charlie Kirk's done that similar too, but he's actually amazingly that Charlie Kirk is a get out the vote individual who just really sucks at it. But
no, Matt Walsh is like, I'm going to look at reality and then just say the opposite.
Yeah,
as hard as he can. And every single time he says something completely unpopular, he just doubles down. He's just a double down conservative.
He is. And it's weird. It's weird to think about it, because so is Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk hasn't always been like this. He hasn't always. He made some sort of turn 2 or 3 years ago. And I saw this clip. I was going to do a video on it. I just got lazy and never did. But it was a clip that Charlie Kirk did an event for, I think it was for Turning Point USA. And he was on stage with a black gay Republican. And he was saying that, hey, listen, we need to reach out to other groups of people. We need to become more inclusive, meaning more big tent, because this is a population that could vote for us. And they're people with whom we share a lot of our values. And a guy, then they had the open mic question part. And a guy came up, he's like, I want to know what butt sex has to do with the Republican Party. Like, that's the question he asked. It's like, bro, what? It's like, that's what he said. He didn't even say sodomy. Like, I think he actually said like butt sex or something like that. Yeah. And he said that, I think that, what's the point of having this movement if we're not protecting our Christian values? And Charlie Kirk was like arguing with the guy and telling him, listen, we can't afford to lose all these voters. And the crowd was not having it. And he actually, like, I don't want to give him too much credit or something like that, but he was making an attempt to kind of reach out to other groups. Yeah. And he never started his, he was always talking about how Martin Luther King was a Republican, like they like to say. But over the last 2 or 3 years, he's abandoned that entirely. Just abandoned it entirely. It's like, yeah, I'm going to just dive right into the racism shit. So it is funny. See, I think that the abortion thing is like as bad as the rest of that shit is. Like, you can still be pretty racist in America and get away with it. But man, you start saying no one can ever have an abortion, you're going to get destroyed, even in conservative states. And I think he notices that.
Yeah. And as far as like this specific instance goes, in my mind, it's just completely ridiculous. The fact that the state Supreme Court would even uphold this law existed when Arizona was still a territory. Like, it wasn't even actually a part of the United States before they even had a state constitution. But they're going to go back to this outdated law and say, oh, this actually still applies. Abortion is effectively banned. Basically, how Roe v. Wade protected abortion, it had like the opposite swing. Yeah. It was basically the state Supreme Court saying, actually, this law says abortion's banned. And now the Senate is siding with, we need to get rid of this fucking law. And the House is basically divided right down the middle, can't make up its mind. They're trying to delay the process as much as possible so that the Supreme Court's ruling takes effect. And there's effectively nothing Democrats can do outside of trying to pass a bill, which they're deadlocking.
Yeah. And the Republicans are in an interesting situation here, because they know. Like, I don't know the members of the Arizona State Assembly. Like, I assume that they're part of the same reasonably intelligent mammalian species that I am. Like, that's my guess right here. And so they can look at math and look at voting trends and say, like, Donald Trump is sprinting away from this decision. Carrie Lake is like, who has a hilarious commercial, I don't know if you've seen that, talking about how she thinks this is a bad idea, which none of them should be saying, because they all believe life begins at conception. It's murder. But they all realize that this is politically toxic. And John and I talked about last week how Arizona is still like in the light swing state category. Not anymore. Like, not anymore. I mean, after this, Arizona is going to be ocean blue. Like, there is no shot the Republicans are winning anything in Arizona. I mean, and honestly, they could have had a scenario in which, I don't know, maybe Trump wins Arizona, but they get like Kerry Lake still wins, or Trump loses, but Kerry Lake still gets the Senate, or, you know, just the House votes. Now it's destroyed, like all Republicans, but top to bottom, they're going to be destroyed by this because everyone knows the Republican Party is the anti-abortion party. But so they know this and they realize where the people are, and still there's a significant portion of Republicans who are like, nope, we're sticking with it. We're going to be a national and international embarrassment and everything. And my only thought to this is, A, they are more true believers than I thought, or B, or B, they're worried about their voting base. Because if they come out and say, actually, we're going to overturn, then they might lose votes. I don't know. Like, which one do you think it leans to more?
I think as far as like elected people, like the politicians themselves, they're really trying to wing it on a niche audience, which is boomers, white, probably more affluent boomers. I think